Hello, everyone. Gary Raze here with Eugene Spotlights, and I have the great pleasure of introducing to you a gentleman with his insurance, and he is Richard Sweet of Advantage Point Risk Insurance. The reason that we picked Richard is because he has a lot of information about different types of insurances. We're used to the life insurance and that type of thing, but we have a special gift for you today. So we'll find out more about you, Richard, and find out about what all you do.
Yeah.
So first of all, I read in your bio here, and you've got all kinds of degrees from the university. You couldn't find the right one in the beginning, apparently. Wow, it's impressive. So you've centered around business, and I know that you were in the traditional insurance process before with like the State Farms and the Allstates and all of those types of things. But for some reason, you thought maybe you could do something even better. So why don't you explain what your process is and what type of insurances that you use or that you market?
Yeah, happy to do so, Gary. So I think my background plays a lot into it because mechanical engineer, business major, and my career is centered around helping people solve problems. Whether it was designing stuff, building stuff for facilities. I worked in the wood products industry for a long time. Then I moved into waste and recycling, and it was always interesting to me is to design a piece of equipment, but also understood how it worked.
Okay.
And then the business side of it also I was really interested in because in the engineering world, I wasn't the person to sit behind the desk all day long and just, dark corner with a CAD program and doing that stuff. So as I transitioned out of that career, I moved into an Allstate business that I purchased. And it was good.
Allstate Insurance.
Allstate Insurance,
Okay.
yeah. I bought an agency here in town. I liked it, but at the same time, I found myself a little bit limited in what I wanted to do as a business owner. And
this is what piqued my interest because we had a brief discussion, and you talked about the fact that you have the ability to not just do the typical insurances, but you have a lot of different venues that you can service our community with.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like when I moved in from what I was doing into Vantage Point, when I started Vantage Point, the reason behind it was to be able to provide options to multiple different people, businesses, and not be limited, right? So as a Vantage Point is an independent brokerage, retail brokerage.
Okay.
So which that means is we have access to multiple different insurance carriers. So when you think insurance carrier, that's your Allstate, your State Farm, your Farmers, your Travelers, your Safeco, your Progressive, Geico. Those are carriers.
Yes.
And a lot of times when you go to a farmer's agent, they represent farmers as a carrier. So you come to Vantage Point, we represent multiple different carriers.
So you can shop the best program for each individual then.
Exactly.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm in the real estate business, and I know that if you go to Selco, they're going to represent only their mortgage. And if you go to our actual mortgage broker, sometimes they do the same thing. They'll shop all the different ones to get the best product. So I'm excited to hear what you do because that really serves your clients as a much more fine-tuned and correct model.
Yeah, it gave us the ability to tailor what the client needs versus push down something that our company was trying to make us sell, right? So when a client comes to us, 9 times out of 10, we'll have the right solution for them at the right rate, to solve their problem. Versus previously, it was like I had one product to sell and I had to sell it, versus provide a solution.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you're more into the solution business as opposed to the making money and sell my product.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a business and we still got to make money, but we figure out a way to make money by providing the right solution. We do that. Yeah. So back up just a little bit, but the personal side, home and auto, umbrella, the toys, all that kind of stuff traditionally, but also business insurance. And I personally like to say we're business priority, but we also have a full scale home and auto team, so we focus on both sides.
I imagine a lot of different business corporations have liability issues all the time.
Yeah.
And you can fine tune a particular policy that will cover their needs.
Yeah. And that's very important because every business is different and every
Yes.
type of industry is different. You know, when you're, I mean, as a realtor, you focus on certain, you know, you have a certain risk.
Yes.
A mortgage broker is a different risk. A roofer is a different risk from that. Somebody out paving the streets, different risk. To a doctor or somebody that's in like a biotech. They're all different, and all the carriers look at those differently. And certain ones want those businesses and certain ones don't.
That's interesting because I looked at some of the things that you have done in the past, and I even looked down here and it says life sciences. Huh? What does that mean? Well, then you go ahead and explain how you incorporate your business with these types of people.
Yeah, so life sciences, it's one of the niches. We look at it as like a niche per se that we picked up,
Yes.
that we specialize in. And life sciences covers a broad range. It's a lot of people think of it like biotech, and the Northwest is a hub for biotech industries. These are people that are developing medical devices.
Mm-hmm.
They have labs. They're on the cutting edge of trying to figure out medicines, that kind of stuff, to also different types of technologies. You know, and it could be medical, but it could be other food-related industries as well.
See.
So life sciences is a broad area, but the risks are quite unusual. And you get people from high-end labs, manufacturing, clean rooms, all the way down to your kind of mom and pop shops.
A lot of these businesses that are specialized have a certain compliance things that are needed in their particular industry. Do you have to brush up on all of their particular compliance issues to be able to write the proper insurance policy for someone like that?
Yeah, you do. And that's kind of why we like to niche into certain markets. I mean, we have a niche in life sciences, what we call liquor liability, which is your bars, taverns,
Yes.
breweries, wineries, as well as what we call habitational, which is apartment buildings. That's kind of our specialties. Like, we're well versed in those areas. We also do general business insurance, your restaurants, your small contractors, stuff like that, because they're not as diverse, and a lot of carriers support them. But when you get into certain life sciences, or I do a lot of student housing, for instance, that's a high risk area, a lot of liability, a lot of damage, and
yes,
a lot of insurance companies don't want to insure them.
Cost-wise, are you able to compete with the general, the Allstates of this world that just kind of blanket everything and not specialize individually?
So when you're talking home and auto, typically we'll see 20, 30, 40% less expensive rates for similar or higher coverages. In the commercial space, the traditional captive agency, they're limited to what we call a BOP, a business owner's policy. So they're looking for your landscapers, your restaurants, your traditional small business that's easy to write. They can predict the liabilities every single time. They don't go after some of the life sciences, the higher risk opportunities like that, the general contractors or the habitational stuff. They're just not set up to go after that. So we're set up to go after it and do the work because we've specialized in it.
You brought up like landscapers, and I think of all the pesticides that they're dealing with, and you probably have to have a fairly decent knowledge of that to be able to insure them properly.
Yeah, you do. Probably the biggest issue we run across is that a lot of those companies aren't insured properly.
Okay.
You know, we were just working with somebody, a good example. I won't name the full business, but the second part of his business is called lawn care. Comes to us, says, I need a quote. Starting to go, we go to his website. It's like, oh, the number one thing on your website is stump grinding. Oh yeah, that's all I do is stump grinding. And so your business is such and such lawn care. And I used to do lawn care, but that's all I do now is stump grinding. It makes more money. It's like, well, you have a landscaper policy and does not cover stump grinding.
So
right, so that's and you got to understand the risk involved in that. And be able to talk to the client about it because that's a bigger risk.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You have been in the business now on your own well, you think you told me you started a long time ago in the
Well, I don't know.
insurance. A long time ago for you is less than a long time for
Yeah,
me.
actually, I mean, it's, I started my Allstate in 2019, so not that all that long ago, right before COVID.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and Vantage Point started up in October of 21. So yeah, it's relatively new. They tried to recruit me back in the 12, 13 time frame, but I had a good career at the time. And
Do you have much competition for the type of insurance that you work with?
not in terms of once people find out what we do.
Mm-hmm.
The competition is people don't know who Vantage Point Risk is. When they look at insurance, you're going to call, typically when you think about insurance, you're going to call your State Farm, your Allstate.
Well, that's why
Farmers.
we wanted to do this,
Yeah.
because the public needs to know that they have alternative abilities.
That's the biggest issue that we have is
Mhm.
the name recognition, right? Is people just don't realize that we're here, or I've never heard of Vantage Point Insurance. I know kind of who they are.
Speaking of that, if our viewers wanted to get a hold of you, I know that they will post your name, your address, your phone number, and all of that on the actual video itself. You might want to relay what your hours are and this type of thing so people can get to you.
Yeah. So office hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Pretty typical there. Website 24/7, and we have access online website so people can go in and request quotes. There's some automated features on there they can use to get information to us. Call, text, email, pretty much any time. I try to keep my people not working all the time, but it's amazing how often people work. So.
Well, and the fact that they can get to a site to be able to fill things out and take their time doing it correctly, and not tying up your time so much, it's probably a more smooth running situation where they can get their answers.
Yeah. And my goal is to make the buying journey easy and making insurance easy. That a lot of people don't want to talk about insurance or think about insurance because it's complicated, or they don't want to hear about it until it's time to renew. And usually when they call us up, they're renewing tomorrow. And they're like, oh, I need to get a quote. So we try to make that process easy, whether it's calling the office, emailing, or jumping online and filling out a quick form.
So Chuck Wagon or Pete Moss calls you up the day before. How long would it take you to get quotes for your clients? Does that vary with each client?
It's going to depend on the type of risk.
Okay.
I would say your home, auto, typical personal insurance, usually same day. Mm-hmm. My team's goal is within a couple hours to turn that around, or while they're on the phone.
But not too many stump grinders are going to.
No, and the higher risk. I mean, the small business takes a little longer. I mean, the stump grinder, it took us a day and a half.
Okay.
Right. Some risks, some of the risks are longer. The roofers, care homes, some of the higher risk stuff that we do definitely takes the time.
I think of the roofers out there working in a very dangerous job, day in and day out. It only takes one slip. Do the individuals, can they get their own personal insurance, or does the owner get the insurance from you?
So a couple different ways. So the owner gets insurance for their liability, their workers' comp, that kind of stuff through us. Mm-hmm. Then we can also provide them accident plans. So if the employee's working and they fall off the roof and get hurt, usually the workers' comp will pay for it, but there's accident plans to help them as well.
There's always additional costs.
Additional costs. Those are pretty low.
Or loss
cost.
Of work.
Yeah. So the work comp is the biggest one when it comes to the higher risk companies like a roofer or general contractor.
Okay.
Just because there's so many injuries.
But you can still compete against the Allstates and the State Farms and those types.
Even
if they may not even insure people like that.
Yeah, they don't look for that. So we have a multiple work comp programs. We're pointed with SAFE, which is the Oregon nonprofit one. But we also have high risk as options as well. So,
okay.
Yeah, and we do a lot of that kind of business in Oregon.
So Richard, if they wanted to get in touch with you, they certainly can do it anytime, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
8 to 5, or just jump online when they're ready.
So Vantage Point Risk Insurance. Yeah. So Now you have a little bit better perspective of the fact that you have choices. And that's the big thing that Richard wanted to bring out, is the fact that you have the ability to fine tune what you need, and you have the ability to not just go with a general overall one person does everything. This is a scenario where it really does help the individual. So until next time, Gary Raze with Eugene Spotlights, and we'll talk soon. Take care.